We are totally leaning into the dark side of the Force today with the Dark Star 6-pan and the Sith Seduction Queen. Before we get into that though, I'm just going to do the rest of my makeup and chat with you. I was just doing some exercises for my singing lesson on Friday. I finally had another singing lesson after a break of, I want to say, almost half a year. I think the last time I had a singing lesson was the end of September, right before I went to that congress in Germany, because, you know, a few days after that congress I had my little accident, broke my foot, and then one thing led to another. We couldn't really find a date that suited us, so in the end I didn't really have another lesson in the year of 2022 past, you know, the end of September. So finally last Friday I managed to have another lesson, and I just told her, listen, I've probably forgotten the little that I understood before, so we're probably going to have to start from scratch. But anyway, she asked what I wanted to possibly like practice to, and I was like, listen, let's find a song from Madonna, because I was a huge fan of Madonna in my teens. I know a lot of her songs, I enjoy a lot of her songs, and Madonna isn't exactly the most talented singer out there, so I should be able to sing her songs. So we chose, well, she chose La Isla Bonita because she said that it's a really good song for like learning how to breathe well. So we started doing that one, and I think I mentioned before that during my first lesson she just like let me sing a little bit, and then she told me exactly where I sit in terms of singing, which is what she called neutral. I'm going to do a bit of glow lust from Auric underneath my eyes. I've actually been using a lot this Becca Backlight priming filter. It is actually at this point almost finished. I like it less than I like my Auric glow lust, but I also didn't want to like waste half of the product. So I tried my best to use as much of it as possible, and I think now I'm kind of like ready to let go of it, because it's also quite old, so you know, it's fine if it's out of my collection. But anyway, I hopped topics again. I was talking about my first singing lesson when she just like let me sing whatever I want to sing, and then told me, listen, it's all fine and dandy, but you're singing in one specific type, and she called it neutral. I think there are different ways to describe like different types of singing, and I am such an amateur and by no means an expert, so I can't really tell you for sure what other ways there are to describe this kind of singing. But basically she said that I sing with a lot of air in my voice, because that's, you know, it's easier to reach heights that way, but you don't have a lot of power in your voice. So ever since, she's been trying to get me out of singing in neutral. And I mean, I understand, and I have a lot more, I'm much more like conscious now of what else you can do with your voice and how you can sound more powerful. But I was just practicing a little bit for my next lesson on Friday, and it was fucking hard work, you guys. If you don't sing in neutral and you have to like put power in it, it's like fucking tiring. So I'm already tired, and it's like only 9 in the morning. Since I'm on a roll with my Pat McGrath foundation, let's just stick to that. I'm really hoping to be able to use as much of it as possible this winter, and just have a little bit left over hopefully for next winter, because I don't think there's any chance I'm going to finish this foundation before my skin tone goes a shade up and I can't use it anymore. But until then, we're going to make the best out of it, and you know, it's been performing pretty okay. It's a really like nice, lightweight, natural looking foundation, exactly the type of foundation that I like. If you like something that's really full coverage, I don't know that you're going to like this. I think it's a really nice formula. Probably it's a little bit buildable, but it's, you know, the name of the game with a foundation like this. You're never really going to achieve I don't know, double wear type of full coverage-ness. Is that a word? If it's not, now it is. This foundation has really worked very well with the Dior Backstage powder, so I'm going to stick to this winning combo. I'm curious whether any of you already received your Love Collection pieces, and if you do, I'm curious what you think about them, because, you know, I didn't really pick up anything at launch day. I'm kind of waiting for someone to post a video talking about this. Well, and by someone I really mean Alicia, because I know other people will post videos and, like, no offense, but I really want to see what she's going to do with it. Although she's a dangerous one to watch, because sometimes I will watch her and going in, I have no interest in the product she's going to talk about, and then I finish the video and I'm already put in cart, check out. So she is generally a really bad influence on me, and when it comes to Pat McGrath, I only need a light nudge in order to, you know, be on her website shopping for shit. So hopefully I'm not going to be too tempted. I think I've kind of gotten over, you know, the initial excitement for this collection, so I think I can easily skip it, but don't want to make any promises. Okay, we're going for a somewhat cooler toned look today, because I'm doing like a purpley gray type of look. So I'm going to take the bronzing brick from Victoria Beckham, and I'm going to use the lighter shade here more as a contour than really a bronzer, because I want to stay a little bit more like neutral to cool toned on the cheeks as much as possible, of course. We haven't really talked about like TV shows in a really long time, so I thought I can give you a short update on what I've watched recently, although I was trying to remember if I watched something fun in the month of December, and I don't think I watched much Netflix, to be honest, or at least nothing that jumps out, so it must not have been very memorable. But I recently started watching season 2 of Firefly Lane, and I'm pretty sure, because one of you actually commented recently on one of my videos, I have spoken about Firefly Lane before, and season 1 was fine, okay? It's not like the type of show that is going to win awards or anything, but it was, you know, it was entertaining and I enjoyed watching it. And I think Katherine Heigl particularly did a really good job with her character. And if you don't know what Firefly Lane is about, it's about these two women who are basically polar opposites when it comes to characters. One of them is like this mousy wallflower person with self-esteem issues, and the other one is, well, she has self-esteem issues as well, and she has a lot of like issues coming from her very broken family situation. But she is a fighter and someone who, you know, goes and gets things. That's, by the way, Katherine Heigl's character, and the other character is played by Sarah Chalk, who was on How I Met Your Mother, but I think she's mostly popular for Scrubs. I'm going to grab me some Flirtatious from Pat McGrath, because, like I said, I want to remain in like the neutral, cool tone side of things when it comes to my face makeup. So I started watching season 2. Season 1 ended on somewhat of a cliffhanger. And already in season 1, and I don't know whether I talked about this in my previous video when I talked about Firefly Lane, it's possible that I have, but in this season specifically, the character that's played by Sarah Chalk, so like the mousy wallflower type, she has started to intensely irritate me, to the point where I'm not sure why I'm watching the show anymore. Is it because I enjoy it, or is it because I'm like hate watching it in order to be annoyed with her character? She's just so like exactly the type of person and the type of woman that I dislike. I'm going to take the hockey puck. It's been a while since I've used that highlighter. It's just not one of my favorites. I love the packaging, but I really don't like the color of this highlighter much, but I think for today it will do the job. She's, you know, exactly the type of person that just intensely irritates me, because, you know, like I said, she's the mousy wallflower with self-esteem issues that lands the really hot guy and so can't believe her luck and can never grow out of her self-esteem issues, that she basically loses the little bit of personality that she had before, you know, she met him. And she's basically a soccer mom, like a hovering helicopter type soccer mom, and she just annoys me so much. The character of Katherine Heigl, I think, is probably also going to irritate some people. Neither of them is a really fantastic person, but like, who is really a fantastic person? Everyone makes mistakes, we all try our best, I get that. But if I had to choose a character that I root for more, it's definitely Katherine Heigl's character. I'm just going to apply a little bit of Fix Plus here on my sponge, and then we are going to move into the eye look. Before we actually get into applying the makeup though, I would like to quickly swatch this purple shade again, which I like to call Problem Child, because it seems like a, You know, the type of eyeshadow that's probably going to give a bit more issues to people because it's quite flaky. Yes. This is the kind of eyeshadow that has like a very like smoky gray base to it. So I thought the Dark Star palette from the 2018 holiday collection is going to be the perfect pairing because it has this beautiful gray toned shadow and we have this gorgeous black here which I can use to like deepen out the look a little bit. But before I do that, I'm actually going to start with something very, very neutral through my crease. I'm going to take the signature eye color, what are these called again? Oh, they're called the Smoky Eye Brick. I keep calling them something else. I'm sorry. I'm going to take this base shadow here that's from the Victoria Beckham signature, whatever it's called, quad, because I know what you're thinking, why not statuesque? Statuesque, while neutral, still has a little bit of warmth to it, and for this specific look I think we need absolutely no warmth. So I'm just going to take that beige eyeshadow and I'm going to lightly fluff it here through the crease. And then I'm going to apply a bit of the gray eyeshadow in the outer corner and lightly smoking it out through the crease. And to be honest, this eyeshadow on its own barely does anything for someone of my skin tone. I think it's exactly my skin, just maybe like a hint deeper once it's built up. But I think the nice thing about this smoky brick is that you can, I think, mix the eyeshadows if you want to get a little bit more depth and intensity. But for what I want to do today, which is basically use this eyeshadow as something to blend that gray into, this will do the job perfectly. Speaking of shows, I think I told you that I watched, of course, 1899, which is the second show created by the writers of Dark, which is my favorite TV show of all time. Except for Friends. I think nothing really can compare quite to Friends, but that's just nostalgic and sentimental and a completely different type of show. But anyway, I'm going off track again. Fucking Netflix has cancelled the show, so there isn't going to be a continuation of 1899, and I am so pissed off about it. So pissed off. I'm going to take a little bit of this gray eyeshadow now, and like I said, I'm going to start slowly building it up here into the crease and outer corner. I don't know what's going on with Netflix and why they're canceling a good show. I mean, I was on Reddit, of course, trying to find out what the reason is that the show was cancelled, and it seems like, unlike Dark, which because it was done in German was put in a different category in terms of how well it needs to do. Apparently, because 1899 is an English-speaking show, for the most part, they are putting it in a category where they're comparing it to all the other English-speaking shows. And it did probably worse compared to all of these like other English-speaking shows. So that's why they cancelled it, which is a real shame. Real shame. Like, how is Emily in Paris getting like 50 fucking seasons and 1899 is not? I think 1899 is just much more of a niche show. You can't really put it up against everything else on Netflix that is in the English-speaking category. Okay, now I'm going to take a smaller pencil type brush and I'm going to go into this black eyeshadow. For many years this was actually my favorite black eyeshadow, and I still stand by that this is a beautiful black eyeshadow. It is actually very comparable to Lamp Black in my opinion from Lisa Eldridge, because it's kind of like that same, like more creamy formula with a little bit less fallout than a traditional powder black eyeshadow is. And for years it was my favorite black eyeshadow, and I'm still really happy to have it in this 6-pan. But I also understand a bunch of you will probably not have this 6-pan, so I think if you wanted to like sort of replicate this look and you don't have the 6-pan from Pat McGrath, you can just pull out Vega if you have that from Lisa Eldridge, because you have a grayish blue in there and a black, which are very comparable in, you know, quality of the eyeshadows and undertones of the colors. So you can achieve something pretty similar, because Pat hasn't really done that many like grays, I think. Oh no, wait, there is also a gray in Bronze Bliss. So you have Bronze Bliss, That one also has a gray eyeshadow that might do the job quite well. So I'm just going to lightly smoke all of this out. Oh yeah, speaking of Emily in Paris, I did watch season 3 of Emily in Paris, and maybe I mentioned it already. It's not great. I mean, Emily in Paris is entertaining, but it can be slightly annoying depending on how seriously you're taking it. And especially it was around the same time that they cancelled 1899, and I was just so annoyed because Emily in Paris is not the same quality level of 1899. It's like 1899 is like leaps and bounds beyond something like Emily in Paris. But yeah, apparently people prefer to watch Emily in Paris, which I don't blame them for. It's perfectly entertaining, it's very light, you don't have to think too hard. I'm going to take a little bit of NYX glitter glue now, because I think Problem Child here, that purple shade from Sith Seduction, almost 100% needs a sticky base in order to not perform like a Problem Child. I think over a sticky base this shade will perform just fine. And I totally understand if you don't want to use a glitter glue. In that case, I think you just need to go in very small increments. Don't do your face makeup first and just apply a layer, blend it out, apply another layer, and then maybe go in with your fingers, which is actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take my finger to apply this purple shade right here onto the like somewhat outer portion of the lid, because there's another shade from this quint that I would like to use on the inner portion. I think this is doing pretty well over the glitter glue actually. I'm not getting that much intense fallout, and the sparkle is sticking just fine. Let me give it a quick blend here with the gray we put down from Dark Star. Also, I don't know if anyone's watched Wednesday, like the Addams Family new show. It's been getting a lot of like really rave reviews, and for whatever reason, when something is like super overhyped, my first reaction is to be like, no, I'm not going to watch this. But I'm curious if you guys have watched it, would you recommend it? I'm going to take this beautiful like neutral taupey champagne shade to apply here on the inner portion of the lids and like melt it a little bit with that purple I laid down before. And I'm going to also apply this into my inner corner. Although it's not light enough to be in my inner corner, I might just pop a little bit of something lighter there over top as well to make it a bit more bright. But for now, I'm just putting that into the inner portion of my lids. And at some point, the best thing to do is really to use your finger to melt the two eyeshadows together. It just helps everything to smoothen out better than using a brush. I want to brighten up my inner corners just a little bit more, so I'm going to clean off my pencil brush here, and I'm going to go into Ozone, which is one of the Nabla Skin Glazings, and I'm going to just pop the tiniest bit of that here in the very inner like tear duct area, just to create a bit more light there. Now, I suspect this purple is going to be a little bit messy on the lower lashes, and I don't really feel like fucking around with that now. So I'm just going to go back into the gray and the tiniest bit of the black eyeshadow here in order to finalize the look. So for the sake of mainly satisfying my curiosity, I'm shining a little bit of artificial lighting here so that you can see all the sparkles. And I especially wanted to point out to how sparkly that neutral beige champagne shade in my inner like lid area is, because it makes a stunning neutral look eyeshadow. I mean, the purple is obviously very sparkly as well, but we could tell that just by looking at the pan. So this is the final look. The lip combo is sort of a nostalgic throwback to something I used to do quite a lot, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago, which is She's Heaven, which is a discontinued lipstick from the Luxe Trans formula from McGrath Labs. It's like a nice beigey brownie nude, topped with a little bit of lavendering the Lust Gloss. Not necessarily because the sparkles, like the sparkles of lavendering, don't really match the sparkles of that purpley eyeshadow, but I feel like they're in the same vein, so they fit perfectly together. And I haven't really worn this combo in a while because Now when I think of like a nice brownie nude, I always think of Sorcery from Lisa Eldridge, so I have to actively stop myself from only using Sorcery and never using anything else. A few final words on this purple here from the Sith Seduction palette. Is it one of my favorite purples? No. I personally prefer like brighter sort of purples, which are more like Blitz Violet Orchid from the Midnight Sun palette. That purple really does something for me. There's something about the tones and the brightness of that eyeshadow that really does something for my eyes. These sort of like smoky shades loaded with glitter are not, will never be my favorite type of formula. So I far prefer the purple that's in the Divine Droid quad, because even though it's a completely different like tone of purple, it's a much warmer toned purple. I think I can do more with it. This is just not my favorite kind of formula, but at the same time I think if you are to use it with glitter glue, it will be fine. It will not be that much of an issue to use it. It won't really be that difficult to achieve beautiful looks with it, but it is a really smoky eyeshadow. You need to be in the mood for a really smoky eyeshadow. I don't know whether it's possible to just like apply it very sheerly, blend it out and just be left with a couple of sparkles and that sheer like smoky base. It's just not the type of look that I enjoy, but I would imagine that would be something to try if you wanted to make this eyeshadow work. I don't know. I'm very curious what you guys think about this eyeshadow if you have the Sith Seduction Queen. I'm curious what you thought about this look. Don't forget to let me know in the comments. If you would like to chime in on any of the TV shows that I discussed, please do so. I love chatting with you, and I'll see you in my comment section and in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!